when I went to the local office, I saw this girl. Immediately, the first phrase that came to my mind was, "Uh-oh, you know, I'm in trouble." Like, who is this?
So when you were thinking, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, you're like, uh-oh, she's gonna take over my thoughts now.
And I will tell you something else. I had a girlfriend back home.
There's another twist to the story here. Yes. Okay,
Yeah.
so what happens next? I'm dying to know.
And by the way, yes, I broke up with my girlfriend the moment I came back. That night, nothing happened, but that night we went for dinner. She even took a friend. But that is the evening where I can 100% say that I felt those butterflies in the stomach. When I met her, I knew she was the one.
So all these random things all had to come together just for the two of you to show up in that same spot at that same time. All right, my guest today on the podcast is Dennis Leyton. He is a video podcast producer, but that's not why he's on the show today. He actually has a super interesting story to share with us about how he met his wife, Inna. It was a complete happy accident. So Dennis, I'm going to turn it over to you, and you're going to unravel this tale for us.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Dennis. Should I just go all in right away?
Jump in.
Yeah. All right. So for context, I am from Costa Rica, from Central America, if you caught the accent. And my wife is Russian. So how did that happen? Right. In 2006, I was still not in the whole this video podcasting thing, not even in video. I was working for Fortune 500 company in Costa Rica, and I was doing software quality control. And at some moment, they started sending me to other countries to run some checks on some programs that were being run between the company and other companies. Like there was some integration, but it doesn't matter. In 2009, they sent me to Russia, to Moscow. And it was
had you been there before, or was this your first time ever going to
it
Russia?
was my first time ever,
Okay.
and it was my first time ever in winter, snow and
Oh
all
boy.
that. And by the
Yep.
time, 2009, I was, let's say, 27, something like that. So by the time, it was my second or third time in Europe, but first time in winter. So I had to get all these jackets and prepare, and I was under-prepared, I will tell you that. Because in Costa Rica, you don't find such things for winter, at least not back then, right?
Yeah, that would be a huge shock.
Yeah. Anyway, I went to Moscow. I would say I came to Moscow because I'm in Moscow right now. So I came to Moscow. I was doing my job. I arrived on a Sunday, and I was going to the, let's say, to the agent's offices, because the company that I was working on had an office here in Moscow as well. But during the day, I was going to to an affiliate office to do the whole checkups and all these things that I was doing. And at the end of the day, I was going to the local office just to check emails, things like that. And then I was heading back to the hotel. Every day it was the same thing. Like I arrived on a Saturday, probably on Sunday I went like to the Red Square and all those things. And then on Monday I did the job, Tuesday I did the job, Wednesday again did the job. I went to the affiliate, went to the office at the end of the day. And then on Thursday again went to the affiliate. But in the evening, when I went to the local office, I saw this girl. Immediately the first phrase that came to my mind was, "Uh-oh, I'm in trouble." Like, who is this? And
So you thought you had done something wrong, and she was there, like
no, like it's what, like, because I was surprised. I wasn't expecting, almost like love at first sight.
okay, gotcha,
Like I
gotcha.
saw, like when you see somebody, I don't know, maybe somebody who is listening can relate, but when you see somebody and you think there's something about this person,
Yeah.
right?
So when you were thinking, uh-oh, I'm in trouble, you're like, uh-oh, she's gonna take over my thoughts now.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
okay, something's happening here, right?
Yeah.
And so we started talking. That was Thursday. We got along. On Friday, I spent most of the day in the local office. We kept chatting, all that. And then we went separate ways. I had another trip to Austria to do some checkups as well. And she actually had another trip to South Africa to do some,
Oh
there was a
wow.
conference or
So you
something.
were both leaving in different directions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we met for 1 day and a half,
Wow.
and that was kind of enough. But that's my
Right.
side of the story, right? There's
Right.
nothing magical. Let's say nothing. There is no happy accident from my side.
Right. It's just
Only
random.
exactly. Like I went to the office, I saw her, a
Yeah.
nice girl, and we started
Right.
talking.
Okay.
All
So
good,
her
and
side of
that
the
was enough
story.
for me. Yeah, so that was enough for me to get hooked on her.
Right.
Now, her side of the story is more interesting because the week before, on Friday or Thursday, she was feeling ill. She wasn't feeling well. And she requested, like, what do they call it when you just a week off from work?
Right. Yeah. Sick time.
And yeah, exactly. And they gave her a whole week. Like the whole following week, they told him, you can stay at home, don't come. And yet that was the week that I came to Moscow, the week that she was supposed to be.
Yeah. Things are lining up here.
Yeah. So, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, she was at home. She was, let's say, recovering. On Thursday, she needed in Moscow, maybe in all the countries too, you need to go to a clinic or something to be signed off from this week, from this time off that you get from job, right?
Yep.
So she
A
went
doctor's note.
exactly. She needed to get a doctor's note to get back to to the office. She went on Thursday just to close things off. She got the note, and she went to take the metro back to her home. Then, and the following is everything that I know from her, right? So she says that she got the note, she got from metro, that she got to the metro, and then suddenly she was not walking on the streets of her district. She was walking on the streets of her office. Like something took her on the way to the office. Instead of going this way to the home, she went on the way to office. And like she was walking, it's like, what am I doing here? This is the street where I work. And she said, well, since I'm here, and it was like 6 p.m. already, the end of the day. And she decided, okay, I'm gonna go to the office and whatever, I would check my emails probably because I have too many from the whole week that I haven't checked. And then she went to the office instead of going home.
Right. Wow.
And that's the day that we met.
Wow. So these random things all had to come together just for the two of you to show up in that same spot at that same time.
Yeah, because let's say we were not supposed to meet because that's the week that she was ill and she took the the notice. She was supposed to stay home. Her boss told her, don't come.
Right.
Get better. And we met on a Thursday evening for like 1 hour. 2 hours. And then the next day she decided to go to the office, I guess. Let's say she met me. And we got along super good. And then on Friday we said goodbye, nothing. I mean, I was like, and she looked very nice. Like, let's say maybe I thought that there was some kind of interest from her side, but we went separate ways.
Yeah.
And while I was in Vienna and while she was in Johannesburg, or no, Cape Town in South Africa, I sent her a message. And, there's another happy random thing that is not so random.
Okay.
But that was, if you think about it, okay, this guy is now separated. That's it. He's going back to Costa Rica at some moment after Vienna, and she's just coming back to Moscow. Like, what are the chances? No, because the travel agent that made my trip, instead of doing the trip as Costa Rica, Moscow, Vienna, Costa Rica, instead of doing that, like a circle, he made a trip such as that I went from Costa Rica to Moscow, then to Vienna, and then back to Moscow for one night.
No.
And then from there back to Costa Rica, through the US or something.
Right.
Probably, right. There's no. So because the travel agent made such a trip, and I was always complaining, like, why is this dude sending me back to Moscow? Like, just send me from Vienna to the US and then to Costa Rica, right? What is this? All this? Now I know why. Because since I had, like, let's say from Vienna back to Moscow was like a Friday, and then on Saturday morning I would leave back to Costa Rica through the US. But it's a very short stay, just one night. And during that week that I was in Vienna, I told Ina, I'm going back to Moscow to take my trip back to Costa Rica. Would you like to go for for dinner or something? And she said yes. And that night, nothing happened. But that night, I mean, we went for dinner. She even took a friend. But that is the night, that is the evening where I can 100% say that I felt those butterflies in the stomach. Like we went for dinner. We went to a bar to dance, and we took some drinks. We walked through the street of Moscow, through the Red Square. We took some pictures.
You're having this magical evening. You're falling in love, but I'm getting on a plane tomorrow and I'm going back to Costa Rica. That had to be in the back of your mind the whole time that night.
I know. And I will tell you something else. I had a girlfriend back home.
There's another twist to the story here. Yes. Okay. So what happens next? I'm dying to know.
Yeah. Like I mean, I'm serious. I'm getting blushed, but like I said, nothing happened. I didn't cheat on my wife, but on my girlfriend. But when I met her, I knew she was the one. She was the one. I knew it, especially after that evening. And the three of us, we even went back to the lobby of my hotel, and we were having drinks and talking, and we stopped talking like at 1. And I said, okay, I need to go to sleep because I'm getting on a plane at 6 a.m. or something.
Oh boy.
And yeah, they left, and I I went to the hotel and I'm like, what am I gonna do? What am I going to do? Like now I'm going back to Costa Rica. When am I gonna see her again? What is this? I have what to do with this that I'm feeling? And it was like 2 a.m. in the morning, and I don't know what I was using back then. Maybe it was Gmail because it was 2009. There was no WhatsApp, no Telegram, no.
Yep.
I guess there was Skype, right?
Right.
But we didn't.
MSN Messenger maybe was around back then. Yep.
Yeah, but we just met. I think we only had each other's emails and that's it.
Right.
So I sent her a message like, Ina, can stop thinking about it. And I don't know what is this is going, but I don't want it to end just like this. And we were sending messages for them back. She replied to me at 2 a.m. in the morning in Moscow, and I think I didn't sleep that night because we were like sending messages for them back. She was like speechless, but she was not rejecting me. She was going along with the idea. She felt something too. The thing is that another happy accident is that she broke up with her boyfriend on previous Christmas Day. So she broke up with her boyfriend unexpectedly on Christmas Day, and we met on the following March. So 3 months
just
apart.
a few months later, yeah.
Yeah, so she was still going through a lot of heavy stuff from that breakup because they were dating like for 3 days. She thought they were gonna get married, but then the guy broke up with her suddenly on Christmas. Just imagine getting.
So you've left me hanging here. Did you get on that plane in the morning, or what happened?
I did. Yeah,
you got on the
I
plane.
did.
Okay, so you went back to Costa Rica.
Yeah, and we started, let's say, dating like that.
Long distance, just like through email and Skype and so on.
Exactly. I got Skype installed, and we were just dating like that.
Wow. So when were you able to see each other again?
Well, magic happened, or the universe helped us, because that was in March, at the end of March. On April, they told me at work, they told me, Dennis, you're needed back in Moscow. We need you to go again for another job. And I was like, what? Like
perfect.
Like I'm after all these years, I'm 42. I believe that there is something out there. You can call it whatever you want, right?
That's crazy.
Universe, God, whatever. And I believe that it was helping us or helping you because this needed to happen. I mean, we've been married already for 14 years, together for 15.
Oh, so this was 15 years ago. This all happened. So you were in your 20s at the time, right? Late 20s, like 27, 26, I guess.
I was like 27. Yeah, she was 22.
Yeah.
22.
Wow.
Wow. So it was not a casual encounter, because look at us. We are married. We have 2 girls. And they offered me this. I mean, they told me like, you're going back to Moscow in May. And in May, I went, and that's when the real relationship started, because I came here. I spent 1 week in Moscow, and that's where the real thing started.
Wow. So I just want to recap for a second here. There's so many different things that happened. And if any one of them didn't take place, you guys never would have met or never would have gotten together, right? You were working for this company, and all of a sudden, hey, you need to go visit these different places. One of them happened to be Moscow, right? If one of them wasn't Moscow, if there wasn't a client in Moscow, if you weren't needed there for integration, you and Ina never would have met each other. That's number one. Number two, she was homesick that week. She should not have been near the office. Even though she went out to get the doctor's note, she should have walked back home. Something made her muscle memory, whatever, just wasn't paying attention, is just used to going to the office. She just decides to walk towards the office, and that's where you guys meet up. If she wasn't sick, if she hadn't have gone to get that doctor's note and hadn't have accidentally walked in the wrong direction, you guys wouldn't have bumped into each other, right?
Yeah.
You guys just happened to have this time where you're both in Moscow at the same time, because you're both also leaving again shortly. So you both had that exact time there in that exact space. You just happened to have a flight coming back through Moscow after visiting Vienna. Should have had a direct flight coming back home, but for some reason came back through Moscow. Another little happy accident there. Hey, we can reconnect. You have this magical night, but then you're leaving again the next morning. And then again, another little happy accident brings you back to Moscow later so you guys can reconnect. If any of those things hadn't happened, this story doesn't exist.
Right.
It's just incredible.
Also that her relationship finished just a few months before, suddenly.
Yes. Another one. Yep.
And she wouldn't get it. I mean, I've talked to her. We have talked about it many times, and she was like, she couldn't believe it when it finished.
Yeah, she thought everything was going well. They were engaged, and then suddenly
not engaged, but it was going towards
in that direction. Okay, right. Yeah. So all these things just happened and had to align perfectly in order for you two to meet and spark up a relationship together.
Exactly. And you don't,
Wow.
I mean, I spent a week in Moscow the first time, and the window of opportunity, I mean, the time we really spent together was just like 2 hours on a Thursday and like 8 hours on a Friday, and that's it. Even if
Right.
she didn't have, even if she didn't suddenly appear at the office on Thursday and we met just on Friday, maybe it will be something different. Not enough
Right.
time, but I
Wow.
had let's say 2 days, and then home. And by the way, yes, I broke up with my girlfriend the moment I came back.
Good
But
answer.
because yeah, no, like I told her what happened, and like we just went different ways,
Right.
and it was fine. And then to make the story, let's say, land, because I was still living in Costa Rica, right? She was living in Moscow.
Right.
In May, when I came to Moscow again, I got a phone call from a person that was working with me in Vienna, from the office in Vienna, and he told me, Dennis, I like working with you. There's a position here in Vienna. Are you interested? And I'm like, what? And I said, yes, of course. And it was a position that I was pursuing for the last 1 year and a half, even before I met her. And I mean, I went through all the hoops and I applied and everything, but I got the job. And in at the end of November of that year, I moved to Vienna. I left Costa Rica. I moved to Vienna. I started my new position, and she moved in with me from Moscow. She just, at the next year, of course, not immediately, but that year, when I was still in Costa Rica, we said, okay, we can't wait until November. Let's do something. Let's meet halfway. So we went to Paris, and we met in Paris for like one
Oh, wow.
week.
Wow.
Like,
That'd be a magical place to meet up. Yeah.
it was magical. It was
Yeah.
really special.
Right.
She even before I moved to Costa Rica, she also took all her savings and she went to Costa Rica, and she met my family, my friends. She spent like 2-3 weeks there.
Wow.
It was awesome. And then I
Wow.
moved, and on the summer of next year, she quit her job and she moved in with me. Shortly after, we got married right away.
And now you're back in Moscow, is that correct?
Yeah, like it was not related, because after 3 years of living in Vienna, I quit my job because I started
Mm.
like a side hustle, and it worked, and it was enough for sustain both of us.
Right.
And I quit, and then we lived here for like 1 year, and then we moved to Costa Rica. We lived there for like 2-3 years. We had our first daughter in Vienna, but we all moved to Costa Rica. Some things didn't work out very well, and we decided to move back here.
Mm.
And we've been living here since 2016.
I was gonna say, there's something about Moscow. I mean, that's where you guys met. That's where you keep getting sent back to. So
Yeah,
it's
the
almost like
stars align here somehow.
that's where you're meant to be, it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
for now, at least for now.
So I have to ask, prior to this all happening, did you encounter anything like this before? Did you have any kind of belief that, boy, stars can align and this type of stuff can happen?
Not really. I mean, I mentioned that for the past 1 year and a half, or the past 2 years, I wanted to move to Europe, because when I was working at this position, they started sending me to some places. And when they sent me the first time to Europe, I landed in Belgium, in Brussels, and I spent there like a week. And I fell in love with the whole look and feeling of Europe and the capital and all that. And after a couple of more visits to other cities in Europe, I said, I'm gonna move here. I don't know how, but I'm gonna move here.
You had it in your
And
mind. This is my future.
yeah, and I started looking for positions and everything, but I wasn't applying that much. It just happened 1 year and a half after, let's say, after my first visit to Europe. But all these happy little accidents, magical stuff, no, like 2009 was a really crazy year.
And have you experienced anything like this since?
Not with that kind of, let's say, power.
Yeah, yeah, it seems like it's a one in a lifetime type of thing where all these stars aligned in order for you and your wife to meet, to fall in love, to be able to eventually live together and now be married and two daughters, I think you said.
Yes, 2 daughters. One is 5, the other was 11. I mean, sometimes
Wow.
you meet people and you realize these people came to my life because maybe it's going to help me somehow. We're going to help each other somehow. That has happened,
Right.
but not at that level, because, your life partner is one of the biggest, decisions
Yeah,
or elements of your life.
for
So
sure.
something like that, like happened to us in 2009, no. And I think it
Yeah.
won't again. I mean, I could be wrong,
Mhm.
but like it needed to happen. It was meant to happen, and life helped us
Yeah.
making it happen.
Do you think that more people could experience these types of things, but maybe they're just not open to it? They don't see the opportunities, or they don't like you had to take some initiative there. You had to send that message. I can't stop thinking about you. You had to, make some decisions. Hey, I'm coming back to Moscow. Do you want to meet up? Some people maybe have these same stars align and they either don't recognize it or they don't capitalize on it. In your case, you recognized it, you capitalized on it, and then everything came to fruition.
Yes, probably you're probably right. Those few days, maybe either something took over me because I felt this is something important.
Mm,
The woman of my life is something important. These feelings, they're not just for play. These are something serious.
mhm.
And it could be that many people go through this, and with I mean, I'm gonna say that maybe they're afraid, and I totally understand. But looking back, I wasn't afraid. I was excited.
Mm.
Even though she was from a city 10,000 kilometers away, even though it's different cultures, different languages, like heck, we speak English to each other still. Because of these feelings that you get that you can ignore, I didn't care about, yeah, okay, I'm probably gonna go have to leave Costa Rica. Maybe, I'm gonna have to speak English the whole day, every day, and have multi-racial, multi-language family, and probably I'm not gonna see my parents. Like maybe those thoughts went through my head, but I thought,
Yeah.
what am I gonna
Yeah.
do? I
And,
can't ignore
and
this.
to draw a parallel here, I would imagine a lot of entrepreneurs go through very similar scenarios with businesses, business ideas, business opportunities. Something amazing could land in their lap. Here's an opportunity they weren't planning for. Here's something where the stars aligned, and all of a sudden they have this amazing opportunity in front of them. And in your case, it was a relationship, but you had to recognize it. You had to capitalize on it. You had to realize there are some risks. There are some things I'm going to have to leave behind. There are some changes I'm going to have to make in my life, but I see this amazing opportunity in front of me and I want to go for it. Some people might go, no, I'm too scared. Or no, my life is in Costa Rica. I can't do this. This doesn't make sense. And they just don't go for it. An entrepreneur is faced with very similar decisions. Wow, here's this unexpected discovery that lands in my lap. I've just accidentally invented a new product, a new business idea. This chance encounter with this person could spark up a new partnership that I wasn't expecting. But wait, that's not the path I thought I was on. I was trying to build this business over here, or I was trying to go this way in this direction. This would mean I would have to make some major changes. This would mean I would have to take some risks. In your case, you said you were excited. Excitement kind of took over, and that allowed you to go forward with it. I think some of the most successful entrepreneurs in history probably shared that similar excitement for this new business idea or opportunity, and they went, you know what, I'm going for it. Might not have been the direction I thought I was going in, but this idea is too good to pass up, and I'm gonna go for it.
Absolutely. And you know how they tell us, like, focus on one thing, like don't deviate, don't
Mm-hmm.
look at the shiny object.
Yep.
But some things are hard to ignore
Yeah,
in life and in business, and you
I
just need to
agree.
make a decision.
Yeah.
What is your gut feeling telling you?
I mean, in some sense, it is good advice. You can't change constantly every time a new shiny object comes along because you'll never have any focus. But if an object comes along that is so shiny, it's shinier than anything you've ever seen, and you don't know if you're ever going to see an object that shiny again, you got to go for it.
There you go. Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Love it. Dennis, I absolutely love your story. I love how it has turned out. You're now married 15 years, 14 years, 15 years together, two daughters. I love how you guys got together. I love the learnings that you've extracted from this. And you've mentioned, you yourself have been on a different journey professionally as well. I mentioned off the top, you are now a video podcast producer. What does that look like, and how can people connect with you?
Yes, so thank you. What my agency does is help business owners who are struggling to grow their podcast, especially if it's a video podcast. So we help them identify what is not working, why is it that they're not growing past the usual numbers? Because usually business owners who start a podcast, sorry, they start the podcast with some goals, more visibility, grow their audience, and make their brand more visible, more like bigger, more leads or more revenue, etc. But after a while, it can happen that they don't get any of those things. And sometimes it's little tweaks here and there, and there are things that are very easy to fix or that are obvious but not for the creator. So we start by helping them identify what is it that they could be doing better, and then we help them with the strategy moving forward, and with the editing and with the YouTube optimization, all of those things that adding up helps to unlock this potential.
There's a lot to it, as I've learned just launching this podcast this year. But another little happy accident twist here. You and I actually met because you did an audit of my podcast, and you gave me all kinds of great insight, great feedback. I had no idea about your story. I had no idea about how you and your wife had met. You and I got together because of this podcast. And now, with a twist of fate, you're on the podcast because I came across this story about how you and your wife met. There was never any thought or intention of you being a guest on this podcast when we first met.
No.
You came to me as somebody who could help me grow my podcast. So
right.
just one happy accident after another. So thank you so much for being here today. What's the best way for people to get in contact with you?
I would say LinkedIn. If you go to LinkedIn and put my name, Dennis, with double N, Leyton, Leyton. I think I'm the only one, but I could
Perfect.
be wrong.
Well, we'll put the link in the show notes so people can just click on it and they can look you up on LinkedIn. Dennis, thanks again for being on the Happy Accidents podcast.
My pleasure. Thank you, Dennis.